Hello, everybody. I'm here just going to be continuing with some of my drawing practice. Still trying to figure out how shapes work. Probably just going to start off with some basic drawing of them again. Keep trying to get used to how they work. And from there, don't know, probably set some sort of small challenge because it seems like 2 hours of trying to just do it with no real direction was not the vibe yesterday, and I suspect it probably still won't be today. But we're here to learn, we're here to just practice some and have a good time doing both. Build up some confident strokes over time, hopefully. Do think at some point today I will probably mess around with trying to do like a little Orzhov symbol or something, some little Magic the Gathering geometric shapes, because it's an aesthetic I like. It's obviously a game I enjoy and will probably eventually want to do some drawings of. And I think Orzhov is nice. It's not got too many complex curves like Rakdos or Golgari, so probably one that will help. It's a circle with 8 triangles, I believe. Less normal talking while I'm doing this, I think. People want to come in, say hi, and chat. Absolutely, we'll talk. But it's hard enough to come up with things to say to the void when I'm, say, playing a game. But while drawing, it's not a whole lot more to talk about when there's not really a specific thing I'm doodling. don't know why I like feet almost more as blocks than circles. Guess it's a little fencing man. I do love that uh, foil and saber in fencing both have right of way apparently because uh, people were essentially uh, being too successful at killing each other. So that because most of the duels were ending in both parties um, perishing, wasn't particularly well loved as a solution. So they tried to come up with more rules and regulations for what it was going to look like. And one of those was right of way, so that if they were basically in a better position to stab you, you weren't allowed to stab them. And that definitely solves everything. Obviously, bit of sarcasm. What ended up happening was people would abuse the right of way and basically hop at each other, it sounds like, and basically keep up the momentum because that was technically a way to have right of way. So forget how they actually ended up dealing with that, but at least that is the possibly apocryphal story that I have heard of why both foil and saber have right of way, whereas epee does not, which is just sort of everything goes physical chess. Notably, an arrow going through like that would not make a hole like it, but maybe they packed something on. So those lines are not actually great strokes, as they're very, very bulky, kind of thing that I'm trying to avoid, isn't it? Because I can't really connect things well to it. Hmm. Parallel lines are tricky for me. That actually, I'm impressed. Hmm. I think those little confidence trucks, you seem to get away with a lot more. Yes, a lovely grimoire. So a book that's open. Hmm. If we're looking at it from an angle, that sort of isometric view, it's two at an angle to each other. That doesn't quite work now, does it? What am I doing? Greater angle of attack at the top than the bottom. No, that looks mighty weird. Hmm. So it does have depth. Oh, but then you don't see the top end. Right. So, these get to go bye-bye. Yeah, the rotation of shapes and actually figuring out how they work. You would think, since I've done engineering and interacted with CAD modeling, I would have a better feel for that, but I actually did not end up doing a lot of the CAD and do not have a great intuition for it. cannot get that same stroke. That's part of why I like pixel art, because then I can just build that stroke pixel by pixel. Instead of getting grumpy at it. That's what practice is, right? Okay, kind of sort of a book. I guess there should be little page lines. Funny, further out, even though it's a shorter stroke that I have to do, it feels twitchier, because I guess each motion represents more movement in the space. Kinda sorta. So it's unfolding it, because if you cut it in half, basically you're getting two rectangular prisms. Just one on top of the other. Now that's very cubic. Hmm. It's just basically right on top of it. Ah, beautiful, Johann. Beautiful. What are other things that are spheres that kind of have a direction? Nothing's coming to mind at the moment. Hair is something that very much intimidates me, even in pixel art. There's just so much of it. I guess we could do a elliptical football. Yeesh. Oh, outing myself as not a British English speaker, drawing an American football. And I really need to get better at those strokes because that's what an eye is, right? Almost that sort of like airfoil shape. I guess. I mean, that's probably getting way too complicated, but eyes have like little tear duct. Hmm. But I don't like how the eyebrow. So if this is the left eye, so then a little tear duct. Somehow. Oh, how do eyelids work? This is getting into anatomy and making me sad. Sure. Oh, that's coming out of the eye. It's one of the better eyes I've ever drawn. It's still not what I would call amazing. Man, I feel like I need to figure out how to do like a little some sort of marking from the knuckle. Oh, that actually kind of works. Okay. Person has slightly weird fingers, I guess. Why is it that three feels okay, but the fourth always feels weird somehow? Guess that's going to be shorter for the pinky, so we don't need to see it. I guess the sort of bump out on the thumb is more on the actual hand itself. That's not a outline shape. Ugh. Nope, that's gone too far. Not the best. I guess this is more of a circle goes the other way. It's almost kind of a hand. I was kind of looking at my own hand. The shape is like a curvy triangle. That's the thumb, and then ugh. Oh, that's some horrifying little fingers. But yeah, like I think that's more of the shape if I've got them sort of closed. Oh, that's that's terrifying. But it's sort of, I guess, more of a kind of angles forward, even though these extend further out beyond. Beautiful, beautiful. And I draw a cylinder with a square hole. Converging, diverging, not parallel. Close enough. Yeah, so there's a square hole going through it. You gotta have the angle, I suppose, if it is indeed a square. Well, it wouldn't necessarily go to the corner, right? It would go more at that sort of angle. Go from this corner, but I'm going to have an easier time drawing to the corner. My masterful shading technique of just fill it in. Actually looks better unshaded, I guess, because there would be light going into the hole. So then if there was a second hole that went through it, yeah, so the angle of that controls the angle of the hole. So I guess it would, from the angle I'm thinking it would be, you almost can't see it. And then Yeah? No? Doesn't look quite right. I think that's probably more the sloppy execution because I think that is geometrically correct. Yeah. Spit roasted. Triangle. Ooh. Not an easy angle for me. Yeah, it can't just be a circle if it is a circle, since we're looking at that angle. It's going to be squished because we're squishing that side. Actually, I guess a square hole would also need to be squished. It would be parallel, right? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so that's a whole. Ooh, yeah, so a mouth is basically two overlapping ellipses. Ooh, wow. I feel like I can do that more sort of sketchy style more on paper, but getting away with it digitally, I feel like I'm not doing a great job of it. Hmm. I don't know, maybe this is one of those gourd rattles. Maybe a very strangely tattooed fist. Yes. Oh, yeah, because if that's the forearm and this is the hand, very big, powerful shoulder. Almost feels like a knight in some sort of mail, or some sort of, I guess that would be plate. That actually, I wonder if that would be a good way for me to learn anatomy, is looking at how armor is made, since I do enjoy blacksmithing. I do have a bit of an idea of how it's put together, because like Okay, so that's a gauntlet. Because it's hard to actually do individual finger protection, so typically you just have a nice plate there. So I guess those are rivets. And then the knight's fingers. Very, very tiny fingers. That's the metal. Oh, is this kind of what kind of sort of cross hatching? Feel like a monkey with a jackhammer. I have the ability to use it, and I've maybe figured out just enough about how it works, but not enough to use it well or for anyone to want to be anywhere near me when I'm doing it. So he's pointing downwards. Yeah, so then each of these is going to be curled over, which kind of lets us cheat a little. Okay, I think that's too stubby. So let's fix that. Because we actually did a good job of doing it a little more on the sketchy side. We even have that option. Even longer. I'm doing very like sharp fingers, but I think that's a reasonable shortcut for now. That's not the right angle for it, because these are all straight on, right? So, or almost straight on, so it's going to be a much rounder tip. Too round. Yeah, because that's where the knuckle is. Yeah, it's sort of the first joint is hidden under there, and then, or actually, is that the problem? That it's only got part of the knuckle, so then this needs like one more joint. It needs to be slightly offset. Yeah, Let's. Oh, I guess over here we need to show the side of that finger. So it's curled over and curled up in, right? It's going to be only very minor. So if it's curled over there, whoop, basically just where the skin is bunched up, right? Yeah, so it's going so it's going to be sort of an upward facing triangle. It needs to be a lot smaller. Guess actually easiest thing there is going to be change the brush size, right, Johan? That's too small. Oh, and that's because right, it needs to actually have the rest of the finger. Dahoy. No, that's suddenly looking very weird. Okay, so can we figure out how to finish out a hand? The answer might be no, but we're here to learn and try. It's not a great angle to model off of my own hand. So it's kind of got. So we don't see the fingernail because it's buried up in the hand itself. I am able to twist my arm at horrifying angles, but this is a bit much even for me. Yeah, no, because of the way we've done it, that almost looks more like we're giving an extra finger. So maybe it's hidden behind. Yeah, so it's slightly up a little bit because we don't connect it from that corner. We connect it from there. Well, that still looks strange. I guess I guess the rest of this drawing doesn't have depth. So maybe that's part of the problem, is that we're just not looking at that behind. Hmm. Or maybe we do it as more of a. No? No, no. I guess I'll do more of that when I get to some sort of anatomy. Let me look up the Orjov symbol. Oh, okay. So it is 8 points, kind of like a compass rose, but then it's got another. So each of those is subdivided into two. So another little 16. So circle, circle, 16, 8, or 16, 4, 4. That's probably going to be way out of my league. But what if instead of sketching the whole thing, we just used it for that sort of last little bit? But I guess that ruins the stroke when you erase it. Hmm. Oh man, maintaining a consistent width. Guess this is when you would use a compass on paper and probably a circle tool in digital art, but I'm forcing myself to do it the hard way because that will hopefully help me learn. Same logic as every math teacher in high school saying, no, 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 don't use the calculator. And I never really liked that logic, so maybe I am the fool. Mm-mm. Needs to be bigger. Sure, kind of. Okay, my spacing was definitely not correct. Guess this one kind of needs to be a little more pointed. Okay, so definitely very sketchy. Oh, I guess we want the bottom side to be darker to get a little bit of a sense of depth. Because the top is reflecting, so it's actually bumped out a little bit. Yeah, yeah. I suppose that means that I think it should be a much lighter line around the outside. Sure. It's maybe also a very confused Starmie from Pokemon. This point needs to be more, I think. Oops. That's what you get for clicking with the mouse. Sure, that's kind of an Orzhov signet. Hmm. Really don't like how I did the top cross hatching on that. But I'm not gonna bother erasing it. Yeah, that's a cylinder. Oh, actually, I guess the cylinder, as the arm goes out a bit. Yeah, yeah, I don't actually remember. I know some of them are riveted, but I don't think these would be, and it would be separated a lot more in how the pieces actually go together. There would be some gapping, but maybe we've got some little spikies. Space spacing is something that I'm also having issues with, it seems. Yeah, being able to space things and actually execute on what I'm thinking about doing. Oh boy. So that way we're actually seeing, okay, sort of the whole thumb. Then that's most of the fingers. Let's keep under, but so is that the, just need to, yeah, okay, so we're just doing a bit more of the flattens. No. Oh, because the up, that's the up right there. So we need to, that's it. Because this has already got the vertical, um, the finger going back up. So anything here needs to be a straight connection back. And that's not a particularly smooth connection there now, is it? Oop. Again, me and using the mouse. Does that need to be? No. So it is overlapping. So I guess that's looking at the back side of the pinky. So I'm looking at, yeah, so that line has to be, so if I'm doing it like that, we're looking at, this is basically the actual underside of it. So I guess that should be trimmed up a little. No, that does not look anywhere near as good. But yeah, so that's looking at the bottom of it. So, oh, maybe that's the issue. If that's looking at, if we're looking at the sort of backside of it. We want a slightly different shape because we're just looking at it going back up. That's just the crease of it. Mm, there we go. Kinda, sorta. So then it feels too short. Yeah, I guess we do that one line. Okay, erase. So is that the problem line? Because that's looking like we're looking at the underside when we want to be seeing the outline of the outside of it, of the sort of backside. Yeah, so that should be out, and then I guess that line should be more sort of a, no, because it is, we're doing it at a more, ugh. No, I do not understand how the finger is working. So that's come down in front, and then we basically want something physically like breaking my pinky to figure this out. No, I guess it would just be a sort of short downward line. It's hard because my other hand gets in the way there. I guess we also don't want that space. Hmm. No. No. Wow. Yeah, I'm not figuring out how that works, and that's okay. I'm still working on shapes. Well, thank you to anyone who decided to tune in. I think that's going to do it for me, but certainly learned a little bit and having fun continuing working on it. I'll still be doing daily practice, but tomorrow I'm going to be spending this time playing some Night in the Woods because it is a game that I have watched a playthrough of several years ago, fell in love with, but haven't actually played through myself. So feel like I should get the full experience. All right. Thank you to anyone who tuned in. I appreciate it as always. Have a lovely rest of your day. Bye.